In this mini lesson, we're going to take a look at the Descriptive Stats tool in the Data Analysis Toolpak. I've made a copy of the Stats 101 data, and now I'm going to make a copy of the actual data sheet so that I'm never working on the original data. Right-click, move or copy, create a copy, OK. I can change the name if I want. Let's call it question 1. Now, I'm only going to be looking at the Math 30 column. So let's get rid of the other columns here. I'm always going to keep the respondent number column. So let's get rid of B to G. Delete. Let's get rid of C to H. And that leaves me with just 2 columns here. Math 30. I'm just going to color a couple of these cells here because I'm going to do a quick sort. And just to show you that when I sort, the math goes from 50 all the way up to 100. You'll notice the respondent number is actually sorted with it. All right, then I'm going to go to Data, and at the far right I'll see Data Analysis. And I see something here called Descriptive Stats. Before we go any further, if any of the steps that we've gone through up to this point you found difficult to follow, please go back and take a look at Getting Started in Excel, because they go through all of these steps in some detail. Okay, Data Analysis, Descriptive Stats, press OK, and I'm going to choose the input range. By the way, the data in Math 30 do not need to be sorted. I only did that to show you the range going from 50 up to 100. So the input range here is all of the data, including the label in column B. So I'm going to click on B1 and holding the left mouse button down, drag all the way down to the bottom. Or there's faster ways of selecting the data, which is shown in that video, Getting Started in Excel. So my input range, including the label at the very top, goes from B1 to B101. Make sure that you check this little box here that says that we've got labels in the first row, so that that label itself won't be included in any calculations. The rest is really easy. You go down to Summary Stats and make sure that that is selected. If I want, I can now just simply press OK, but if I want the output to be on the same page as my data, I can click on this little button that says Output Range. And just one thing to note, this seems to be a bit of a glitch in Excel, but when I press on Output Range, it actually takes me back up to the input range. Now I don't want to mess that up, so I actually come down here and I click in this white space here that says the output range. Now what I can do is I can select any cell here that has nothing below it and nothing to the right of it, or at least a couple of columns to the right, and I think it's about 12 rows or so down. So make sure you got a good chunk of space. The other thing to notice is I've been scrolling here and notice that I've got my titles locked at the top, so it goes from 1 down to 85. So I might want to scroll up first. Otherwise, in a large data set, sometimes you're searching all over the place to find out where your output is. So now you can see the numbers go from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on down. Now, I can click on any particular cell here. Let's click on, say, this one here. That's D3. I don't want to click immediately to the right of column B. I want to always separate the original data here from my output by at least one empty column and one empty row at the bottom. So I'm going to select D3 as my output range and then click OK. There's a lot of exciting things here which we'll be talking about in class. But at this point here, it's hard to actually read the labels because of the column size. So let me show you a quick trick in terms of how to size the columns. I'm going to left click on the D at the very top, so the letter itself I'm clicking on and dragging across to include the E. Let go of the left mouse button and then move my cursor along E to the side, and you'll notice that the cursor changes from a black down arrow to a sizing cursor when it's right between the E and the F. Then I double click, left mouse click, so double click, and it will size the columns accordingly. Next thing that I want to do here is change all of the values that are shown with more than 2 decimal places to just 2 decimal places. So what I do is I click on, well, the mean's already at 2, but let's start there. So the mean, and then holding down the control key, that will allow me to choose non-contiguous cells, cells that are not all together in one range. So holding down the control key, I click on the mean, and the standard error, and so on. I'm going to skip the median because it's to 1 decimal place in the mode because that is already an integer. And so there we go. Let go of the left mouse button, of the control key, pardon me. Go to Home, and then in about the middle here, you've got increase and decrease your decimal values. So we're going to decrease the decimal values to 2. And then just click outside to deselect all of the cells. That's looking pretty clean. There's one more thing that I'm going to do here, and for a particular question I might ask you to, say, focus in on, say, the mean. So what you can do is you can highlight the mean, just highlight the cells, go to the Home tab, and you'll see a little paint can here. It looks like I've already done this before because it's already shows a yellow color. So I can choose whatever color I want, and that highlights the cells quite nicely. Last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight these cells, just holding down the left mouse and selecting. And then I'm going to copy with either a Control-C, or I can choose the copy button up here. And then I'm not going to show you this part, but I can open up my Word document and just simply move to it and paste it as a table. So I won't do that. I'll just end the lesson here.